Yeah.
Before we begin the regularly scheduled board meeting, we'll have a public hearing on the proposed Harwood TOD tax incremental financing district. Mr. Cummings?
As you recall, this was originally continued from April, this is April 8th, a couple of meetings ago. And the purpose of the public hearing, it's required by the TIF Act. The recommendation for the board tonight is after public comment and that the board would pass a resolution continuing this until May 27th. The reason for the continuance is that there's still those same three items that we had a couple of weeks ago. Still negotiating a redevelopment agreement potentially with the developer if it goes through. A jurisdictional transfer for Harwood Avenue from the state of Illinois to the village. And also a parking agreement with the church across the street. So those three items are still out there. And so before the board takes final action on this one way or the other, my recommendation is to continue that to make sure those are resolved.
Thank you for the explanation. Mrs. Thomas, roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Here.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Kuiper.
Here.
Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Roman.
Here.
Trustee Obid.
Here.
President Hogan.
Here. Any comments from the public with regard to this matter? Yes, ma'am.
Should I get up or just stand here?
You can write us.
So obviously I know that this is being continued, but I do have some questions that I think that are important that we talk about, especially when we actually have the hearing. But when reviewing the map of the TIF, some residents have asked me, do churches pay property taxes? And so why would a church be included in the TIF if they are not actually going to be contributing to the TIF? Because it appears that St. John Newman's is in the TIF district. And so what would be the purpose of doing that? And then since the TIF is to forward a development with the developer of the Hartford building, I think it's important to note that the elevator does not work at the Hartford building and that disabled people don't have access to the Hartford building. And it hasn't worked. So there's been many resident complaints about that. So it doesn't feel like a really great entity to go into business with further. And now that the Hartford building is for sale, that feels like an interesting choice because this developer, Homewood, whatever they've named their company, doesn't feel invested long-term in our community if a year after opening the Hartford building, the property is now for sale. So it seems more like a flipper and less somebody who wants to actually be a part of Homewood. So that is sort of my questions there, but I guess in the hearing, I guess we'll find out what the status of the negotiations is with the Archdiocese and about IDOT, because in the fall, it seemed like those were kind of done deals and now we keep continuing. And so maybe those negotiations aren't going to be successful and maybe we aren't going to have that replacement parking. And then also concerns about if we're not doing anything for the crosswalk on Dixie, how are people going to get across Dixie to come to Village Hall? So I think those are some really big concerns with this development, and I just want to make sure that those are considered and known by the public.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, it's nice to be here. So I just had some concerns about the apartment buildings going up here to the parking lot. I know there's a lot of concerns about losing current parking. My concern is if this is part of a transit-oriented development, then why is it just apartment buildings? Why is it not a mixed-use building? I could speak from experience as someone who lived in the city and moved to the suburbs because I wanted a bigger place, but I kind of missed that feel of the city. The downtown has some great businesses, but they do not have businesses that would support someone who would be living in an apartment building who does not have access to a car. All right, I think that there should be greater diversity of businesses other than retail and restaurants. I think there should be some exploration done into making a apartment building that has mixed use on the first floor that would house things like a pharmacy or a grocery store, a co-op, or some place where someone could get their essentials without having to hop into a car and drive over to Halsted or to Governor's 103rd. Especially if the apartment building is going up and taking away current available parking, because the residents would not have a place to keep their car to, you know, have it to go to and from the places where they need to get their essentials.
Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening? Again, a reminder, this is for the continuation of the hearing. Board comments? Trustee Williams.
Yep, thank you for expressing your concerns. And all of your concerns are an essential part of the decision-making process, so they are appreciated.
Also, yes, thank you for your concerns for the two people that did come up and express your concerns. We hear you. We're taking everything into consideration. This isn't a done deal as of yet.
Trustee Heiferman.
Likewise, as well as the people that have written into us, in fact, we had a really engaging letter today from a resident that brings up some very valid concerns.
Trustee Mason.
No further comments. I agree with my
Trustee
colleague.
Roman.
No, I agree with everything. Thank you for the comments. I also appreciate that we're putting a pause on implementing the TIF before we know whether or not the TIF is even going to be necessary. So I think that I appreciate the thought on all of that. So thank you.
Trustee Oldham.
Yes, I too agree. I'm glad that we're putting a pause on it. I know that there's been a lot of exploration, but it seems feedback from the public is that we need more, and there's more thought that need to be put into a major development such as this. So thank you.
I have a motion to approve resolution 3219 for the continuance of the public hearing to May 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Willis, second by trustee Roman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Trustee Ovid.
Hi.
The resolution is approved. May I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Trustee Ovid.
Hi.
The public hearing is adjourned. The village board meeting of April 8th. Please join us in our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Thomas.
Trustee Willis.
Here.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Heiferman.
Here.
Trustee Mason.
Here.
Trustee Rowan.
Here.
Trustee Ovid. Here. President Hoza.
Here, representing staff this evening, to my left, our village manager Napoleon Haney, to my right, our village attorney Chris Cummings. To the audience's right, our police chief Denise McGrath, Community and Economic Development Director Angela Maceras, Public Works Director Josh Berman, and Assistant Village Manager Terrence Aqua. The minutes, let's combine both of these minutes. The minutes from the public hearing of Tuesday, March 18th, and the regular board meeting of that day. Any additions or comments? Trustee Willis.
No. No.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Nothing for me.
Trustee Heiferman. Trustee Mason.
No comment.
Trustee Roman.
Nothing from me.
Trustee Ovid.
No comment.
Actually, just so the minutes are correct, this would be the minutes of the board meeting on March 25th and the public hearing about the lead service line replacement on March 18th. So
Correct.
different dates.
Is that understood by the board?
Yes.
Okay. With that being said, may I have a motion to approve those, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Roman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis,
Aye.
trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman,
Aye.
trustee Mason,
Aye.
trustee Roman,
Aye.
trustee Open.
Aye.
The motion is approved. The claims list in the amount of $543,690.27. Comments or questions, trustee Miller?
None.
Trustee Harris.
None for me.
Trustee
I
Heiferman.
had no questions.
Trustee Mason.
No, sir.
Trustee Roman.
Nothing.
Trustee Oakley. We have a motion to approve the claims list, please.
Second.
And moved by trustee Opitz, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis,
Aye.
trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman,
Aye.
trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Trustee Open.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Of that almost $544,000 claims list, one item comprised the majority of that list. 1 month's employees' health insurance was $256,000, 47% of that claims list. Hear from the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to address the board on any subject not on the agenda, please step forward. Yes, ma'am.
Amy Crump, Homewood, Illinois. I continue to share from the book On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. Chapter 2 is Defend Institutions. It is institutions that help us to preserve decency, and they need our help as well. Institutions do not protect themselves. They fall one after another unless each is defended from the beginning. So choose an institution you care about: a court, a newspaper, a law, a labor union, a library, and take its side. On February 2nd, 1933, for example, I didn't mean to say for example. On February 2nd, 1933, a leading newspaper for German Jews published an editorial expressing this trust. We do not subscribe to the view that Mr. Hitler and his friends will deprive German Jews of their constitutional rights, nor enclose them in ghettos, nor subject them to the jealous and murderous impulses of the mob. Such was the view of many reasonable people in 1933, just as it is the view of many reasonable people now. The mistake is to assume that rulers who came into power through institutions cannot change or destroy those institutions, even when that is exactly what they've announced they will do. Sometimes institutions are deprived of vitality and function and turned into a semblance of what they once were, so that they gird the new order rather than resisting it. It took less than a year for the new Nazi order to consolidate. By the end of 1933, Germany had become a one-party state in which all major institutions had been humbled. That November, German authorities held parliamentary elections without opposition to confirm the new order. Some German Jews voted as the Nazi leaders wanted them to, in the hope that this gesture of loyalty would bind the new system to them. That was a vain hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Yes, ma'am.
I'm back to political grandstand, as one trustee referred to our advocating to stop toxic pollution from pouring into Isaac Walton. The RFQs were due on March 28th, and yet we don't see anything on the agenda today about that, showing the lack of urgency the village is giving to this issue. So while we're waiting on the very first thing that we asked the village for 8 months ago, through the seemingly purposefully slow process, I want to clear up some misconceptions about how the village has been in lockstep with the board the Board of Isaac Walton. In September of 2021, the Isaac Walton Board asked the village to perform testing of the Northwest Pond. That's 3 years before any testing was performed. In March of 2022, a citizen's complaint was filed with the IEPA by a member of the Isaac Walton Board about the ponds after the village's inaction. In March of 2022, the Public Works tells IEPA that this is an issue with an oil separator at Homewood Disposal Parking Lot. In March of 2022, IEPA advises Public Works that the testing is the responsibility of the pond owner. Also in March of 2022, Public Works puts the oil boom sock on. In September of 2022, the Isaac Walton Board meets with Public Works to tell them the boom is not changed regularly, installed incorrectly, or sufficient to handle the issue. In September of 2023, the Isaac Walton Board members reach out directly to 2 board trustees. In March of 2023, Isaac Walton finds a company to test the ponds. In April of 2023, Public Works agrees to split the cost of the testing at the Isaac Walton Board's insistence. In February 2024, water samples results are in. Public Works Director is flippant about the village's responsibility. In September of 2024, the village claims to have no knowledge of the testing results or have issued a payment that was outstanding to Isaac Walton. So if the village has been working in lockstep with the Isaac Board, it is only after South Suburbs for Green Space got involved, after the media's involvement. I don't say this to pat myself on the back, but to point out that the village's cooperation with the Isaac Walton Board is a result of community pressure, activism, and bad publicity. This is what it takes to get the village to respond to residents. Combined, concerted community effort. They are not proactive. Additionally, I want to note that the agreement between Apparel Redefined and the village authorizes over $1 million to be spent on soil remediation at that site. Why would the soil need to be remediated at that site directly next to Homewood Disposal? So this is important for residents and Isaac Walton lovers to keep in mind. When eventually the village completes the contractor selection, gets the testing done, and hopefully gets a quote for remediation that may be expensive. Isaac Walton is in the same new TIF that Apparel Redefined is in. If Apparel Redefined can have $1 million in TIF funding to remediate the soil, what does Isaac Walton get to remediate Prairie Lakes? Budgets show your priorities. And if money is not allocated to the remediation of the Prairie Lakes, then we all know that having an embroidery company on 175th Street is more important to the village than protecting the people, pets, and wildlife at Isaac Walton.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Right ahead.
Good evening, Mayor. Village Manager, Trustees. I guess the best way I'll start is I was looking for the fire chief because as a Marine Corps veteran, chain of command, at least Mr. Haney saw the April 4th birthday outreach to your current chief building inspector. And since I don't see your fire chief here, who would just go to? Because
Excuse me, do those mics work?
Oh.
I can't hear a word, I'm sorry, I can't hear you,
no problem. Is that better?
I'm sorry.
It's
Oh,
okay.
you're not. Is
It's
that
okay.
is that better?
Pardon me?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Not a problem.
Go right ahead.
No problem. So
Mr.
I'll take
Haney.
that.
sure.
What's in it?
Nothing. So I appreciate after the March 25th meeting, what I addressed, there's no sense to lick vomit, it's Marine Corps term. Mr. Haney met with me on March 28th about the matter that I addressed on March 25th. And again, expecting some type of outcome, but as I said on March 25th, you have to put everything in its proper place. With that being said, you have a current trustee who didn't go to the right high school in Chicago. His name starts with an N. And I say this with humor, but laced with accountability. This, and there's a connection as it relates to homeless. So this is the sometimes in exactly 3 months today. Because again, as a journalist, sometimes you have to let something simmer. And so when you're not accountable, some things fall through the cracks and it eventually affects someone's mental health. Question for the mayor. Is Learning Lab's license being pulled? Because I know the news story about what happened at the Learning Lab, and something of that magnitude should denote the closing of the Learning Lab. And I'm only just saying that from the standpoint of with the village attorney consultation. Yeah, you have to do Google Learning Lab Homewood, and you'll understand from a and local appearances standpoint, some businesses in Homewood need to close. Again, your decisions as trustees, because at full circle, I've presented many times about mental health as relates to our youngest generation and how they view life differently. So the young people who currently attend the high school in your tax district and how their careers aren't working as they would like them to. They're approaching a graduation date of June 1st. Many of them are extremely clueless as to where life takes them. So again, drug use and other activity that is not profitable for the Homewood area as it relates to businesses. Again, this is to Mr. Haney. He likes me to say you cannot fix what you will not face. And there are current seniors who could contribute to the tax base as employees entry level here in Homewood whom we're overlooking, who aren't ready to necessarily go to college, who need to work. So it's my hope that the businesses listening to this, as well as the entrepreneurs in the audience, consider a Homewood Flossmoor senior for that first job, because it's appalling the number of seniors who have never worked ever. So again, as a Marine Corps veteran, I'm not advocating for the military. I'm advocating for that age group to work, because work will set you free. It is biblical. And as I close, going back to, at one point, it was a very, 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 very admirable, very esteemed high school academically, but because years now athletics is valued.
Mr. Land.
Time is cut.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, May 14th. I looked up the service record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? If not, at this time, may I have a motion to approve the appointment of Melinda Connor to the Events Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis,
Aye.
trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Mason,
Aye.
trustee Roman.
Aye.
Trustee Obit.
Hi,
Motion is approved. Ms. Connor?
I, state your name, having been appointed to, the events committee for the village of Homewood, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. And I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Illinois. And the municipal ordinances for the village of Homewood. And that I will faithfully discharge my duties on the events committee to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll have a short presentation on the Homewood Science Center by the director, E. Dobritz.
I got the hint. I'm here tonight to, first of all, thank village leadership so much for your support, including the staff, especially the staff here at the village. We have a wonderful team here. and they are so supportive of our ongoing efforts here at the Homewood Science Center. I'm also here to, and also to thank the community. We received so much support from the community, and also you will see tonight so much participation. So I have very good news to report to you about our results from 2024 and a little sneak peek of what we're working on this year, okay? So we'll go to the next slide. Oh, I just turn it? Okay. These are the headlines from our annual report, which you can find on our website under the About Us section. You can download the report. But two big headlines. The main program, we have lots of STEAM programs at the Homewood Science Center, and you can read all about them in our annual report or on our website. But the two main programs that we have are our field trip program that it takes place during the week, where we have groups come in. And we do facilitated STEM programs for them, and they also enjoy our facility, which keeps improving all the time. You will see from last year, from 2023 to 2024, we more than doubled the participation. So we're really excited about that. Another really popular and big program that we offer is STEM Saturdays. So every Saturday, anyone in the community or in the surrounding areas, because more than half of the people that visit are from surrounding areas other than Homewood and Flossmoor. More than double participation in 2024. So we're really thrilled about that. So that's the big headline from 2024. But you're probably thinking, what are you guys doing now? We're already into April. Well, math. Everyone love math here? Sometimes that's sad. That's the thing. I agree. I was like that too. And I think we need to change the attitude about math, and we need to start with our families. So we have all these families visiting us. So let's leverage that. We have a very active community that really believes in education. So we're really leaning into math this year. We created a math magic area. So come and visit us at our math magic area. And we're going to be partnering with our schools and expanding that program even more. We want our young people to be prepared to enter school. And math is key to that. And guess what? Math is part of STEM. So we're really leaning into math. The other thing that we're really leaning into is our outside space. You probably have noticed our native garden. We're going to revamp that garden a little bit thanks to Exelon, a Green Region grant that we received from them. And we want to activate it as a learning landscape. So we're partnering with an organization called Playful Learning Landscape, who is helping us with some ideas. Really fun ideas, like for instance, instead of having a sign about pollinators, let's create a game about pollinators where kids can hop onto pollinators. So that's active hands-on learning. So that's what we're really working on this year. So look for that. But also we have more new programs. We're really busy with the field trips. We're really busy with STEM Saturdays, but we're also squeezing in some other programs where we can in our schedule. So we have Grandparents' Days. We call it Grandparents' Days and Other Caring Adults, because anyone can, bring a child to the program. And we also have STEAM Play Days. Those are paid programs. And then we also have sensory-friendly STEM hours, because we're so busy. That's wonderful, but not so wonderful for some of our young people. So we have those opportunities. I also have a photo of our team on this page. And I just want to commend our team. We have a team that has a big heart. They really believe in our mission and they work really hard. I think they're very well known in the community because people are visiting and seeing them. So that's a picture of our team: Dominique, Charlie, Jordan, Jana. They're awesome. We also have a very supportive board of directors. So it takes a village. It took this village to make the Homewood Science Center get going and continue to thrive, but it also takes our team on the ground too. So I want to thank our board of directors. Thank you, Jay. And I want to thank you all for another great year, and we're looking forward to the future. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Thomas, the end of this vote.
The board is asked to send the 2024 annual reports from the Homewood Science Center
the Appearance Commission, and the Planning and Zoning Commission. Board is asked to approve the FY 2025-26 renewal of an agreement with TPI Building Code Consultants, Inc. of South Elgin, and the FY 2025-26 renewal of an agreement with HR Green LLC of New Lenox to conduct plan review and inspection services for complex projects that require specialized expertise. The budgeting amount is $75,000 split between the two contractors. The board is asked to award a bid to M.E. Simpson Company, Inc. of Valparaiso, the lowest responsible bidder, to perform the annual water distribution system leak survey project of Homewood's 113 miles of water main. The contract is not to exceed $31,075. The annual leak survey has helped reduce Homewood's water loss from 16.7% recorded in 2017 to an estimated 9.8% currently. The board is asked to authorize Manager Haney to renew the contract with Advanced Sweeping Services, Inc. for street sweeping services for 5 residential and 15 commercial sweeps between May 1, 2025 and April 30, 2026. The contract is not to exceed $8,692.96 per residential sweep and $896.83 per commercial sweep. The board is asked to award a bid to D Construction, Inc. of Coal City, the lowest responsible bidder, for the 2025 motor fuel tax general maintenance pavement patching program. The contract is not to exceed $642,000. The board is asked to renew the contract for leaf pickup services with Homewood Disposal, Inc. in the amount of $30,561.29. The 2025 pickup dates are November 12, 19, and 26. The board is asked to authorize Manager Haney to renew the tree work contract for tree removal, stump removal, spot trimming, and emergency tree removal services with Homewood Tree Care of Lockport, the lowest responsible bidder. Also to approve the renewal of the tree work contract for sectional tree trimming with Winkler's Tree Service of the Grange Park, the lowest responsible bidder. The total amount of the contracts is not to exceed $264,000. The board is asked to award the bid of bituminous mixes to D Construction, Inc. of Coal City, the lowest responsible bidder, at $67 a ton for surface mix, $64 a ton for binder mix, $140 a ton for coal patch mix, in an amount not to exceed $49,000. The board is asked to award a bid for concrete flat work to Strata Construction Company of Addison, Illinois, the lowest responsible bidder, based on unit prices submitted as part of the joint and cooperative bid collaboratively submitted by the villages of Homewood, Alsip, and South Allen, in an amount not to exceed $185,000 for Homewood's quantities. Board is asked to pass ordinance MC 2351, approving a second amendment to the restated redevelopment agreement between HCF Homewood LLC and the Village of Homewood, removing language obligating village support of a minimum annual return and return on cost participation. The board is asked to pass ordinance M 2352, temporarily suspending the maximum prize and sale date limitations in the Homewood Municipal Code for the Queen of Hearts raffle conducted by Open Access of Homewood at the Ridgewood, subject to an approved background check.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience with regard to these matters? If not, board comments. Trustee Willis.
I just wanted to hear more about M and what the benefits of that would be to the village.
Yes, just to provide a little background, this involves the Hartford Building and Redevelopment Agreement. That was the first project in the downtown TUD tip. The village originally negotiated a redevelopment agreement with the developer in 2019. And we all lived through COVID. They came back in 2021 The lender at that time, as a condition for financing, required some kind of guarantee that there would be sufficient revenue from this building in order to service their loan. And this being a relatively small project, you know, it's not like 250 units in downtown Arlington Heights. There was a lot of risk involved. And the lender at that time said, this is the only way we're gonna make it fly. And so the village, as part of the redevelopment agreement, agreed to that support. Now, rolling the film forward 4 or 5 years later, now that project, from a financial standpoint, has been successful. And the lender, and since that time, as you do when you build a building and then later on with commercial financing, it's not like our home loans where it's there for 30 years. These things have to be renegotiated, refinanced every few years. Now, at this point in time, the new lender has agreed to remove that language, which is a great thing for the village. So it is now 100% on the developer. And none of that is on the village in terms of going forward. So I'm happy to recommend the approval of this.
Thank you for that explanation.
Trustee Harris Jones,
I'm not thinking.
trustee Heiferman.
On items A and B, I just want to note, and I don't know if it's the first time we've seen it this way, but the format that the annual reports are coming in is extremely helpful. I like the fact that it lists all of the significant accomplishments of the committees and commissions. It's helpful. Also, just want to recognize that there are a lot of public works items on the consent agenda that I just want to recognize that putting together the specs and the bidding materials and distributing the bidding materials, and for all of the bidders, the amount of work it takes to bid on a municipal contract, the reviews, the awards, it really is a huge Herculean effort. And I just want to rarely mention it, and I just want to make sure that it's out there.
Takes a team.
Thank you.
Trustee Mason,
No question.
trustee Bowman,
Nothing from me.
trustee Hope.
I just love looking at the Homewood Science Center annual report. It was so exciting to see all the wonderful things that are taking place at the Science Center. And thank you for all your efforts. So thank you. And your team.
Just to dovetail on what trustee Heiferman said, with regard to public works projects, don't forget, we have the money to pay for them. That's what's most important. With that being said, may I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, please?
So move.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Heiferman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Trustee Ober.
The consent agenda is approved. General board discussion, trustee Wood.
I too appreciate the Homewood Science Center presentation. We are so fortunate that we have you in our town, and you're doing such great work for our community. Thank you so much.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Thank you also, Homeland Science Center and the team. As our Public Works Director said, it takes a team.
Trustee Heiferman.
Actually, I'm blown away by this. You know, if you really haven't had a chance to study it, do. There is so much going on across the street, and it is because of initially because of this board putting it together and watching it flourish. Not much else to say on it other than well, I invite everybody July 17th to come to Summerfest, our big fundraiser, and show up on a STEM Saturday sometime and just check it out and see what's going on.
Trustee Mason.
You know, Homewood Science Center is, man, I wish we'd had one of those when I was a kid, you know? Every time I go in there, I'm blown away by something else. And I just think that, you know, the access for kids is so important. So I appreciate all the work you guys do. Thank you so much for the work, and thank you for this incredible report. I also want to just acknowledge and thank our opponents, the candidates that ran with the Greener Homewood Party. You know, I want to thank you guys for thought-provoking conversations and for showing up to these meetings. You know, we appreciate your comments. We appreciate you standing for your cause, and it does not fall on deaf ears. We ask questions, and we will get it right. Thank you.
Trustee Roman.
I'll just echo everything that was already said about the Homicide Center. It is such a special place. My kids love it. I wish we had time to go more often. They would love to go. Do you know, are all of your camps full?
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
please.
yeah, right. Okay, I'm gonna sign mine up.
But,
Yeah, because those are very popular camps. So everything that you guys do for the community is amazing. So thank you for everything that you do.
Trustee Alpert.
Homewood Cleanup Day is on April 19th. If you haven't signed up yet, it's a lot of fun. We're guaranteed excellent weather, so please come out and enjoy the fun and help us clean up on this winter. 8:30 in the morning, we're done by noon.
We have no executive session this evening. I may have a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second. Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Alpert. Roll call, please.
Trustee Willis,
Aye.
trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman,
Aye.
trustee Mason,
Aye.
trustee Roman.
Aye.
Trustee Willie.
Hi.
You stand adjourned. Thank you all.